Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and today I'm making a video on a tool that I made, and basically this is for 3D printing, but I highly advise you to make a tool like this whether you're making a hobby to make money or trying to make a business to obviously make money. And the purpose of this is it does a few things for 3D printing because we got inventory and a few other things. It does inventory control, maintenance logs because you're talking about machines. And then it adds a few other things where to see if it's worthwhile, to see how close I am for the equipment to pay off for itself, and to see if it is worthwhile for all the effort and stuff like that. So as far as this goes, what you can do is go in the description and go to the link and go to the file and make a copy. And this will make a free copy on Google, and that way you can actually modify and do whatever it may be. But as far as things goes, the rest of this video I'm pretty much going to walk through and show you my thought process on adding some of these things, and maybe you can run with it or modify it as you need. But keep in mind that, again, you should get in the mindset of doing these type of things, whether it's, I mean, even if you got a normal computer and you're once in a while making money off of it, it allows you to see if it's worthwhile to do the upgrades or all the other stuff, or should you just hold off on it because it's not really worthwhile profit-wise. So as far as things goes, one of the biggest things I would recommend that you have is a what I call a fact page, but it's a basically a page that you can quickly look at and see stuff like profits. You can see the machine work hours, amount of material being used, cost over time, and so on. So it allows you to get a quick look at things, especially with the ROI, return on investment. Because the thing is what I'm really concerned about is, can the machine pay up for itself within a 2-year period that I sell out for? And it actually looks like it can, even though it's a negative. I've only had it for less than a month, and it's already getting up in the 10% already paid off. So this is a pretty good thing to note into itself. Now, one thing I want to mention is you need to note that a 0 ROI is not a bad ROI. Basically, that means that you didn't lose anything. Also, you didn't gain anything, but you didn't lose anything. But whenever you start out, you will obviously have a negative 100% ROI. So as far as that goes, going into the next big thing is the sales. And this is a big thing that you need to keep track of, whether you're doing art or 3D printing or something else. And the purpose of this is more than less is it allows you to see what sells most, what you need to focus most of your attention on, and what is the most profitable thing out there. And also it lets you know, is grouping things up, is that actually making you more money or not so much? So this is a big thing that you need to note. So as far as me, where I'm doing with 3D printing, I got several different types of filaments. It also lets me know which type of filaments sells more and stuff like that, so I can run with that. But one big thing you might be noticing is the markup on all this stuff. So it's like 1,000% markup, a 600% markup, and stuff like that. But you really should be looking at every single dollar that you can gain is a dollar that will actually make it where you're potentially going into the profits area. So on top of that, I will also recommend that you take a look at the profit per hour. This is a major thing to take a look at. So where we got like a 600% markup, I still only got about $5.18 per hour machine work hour, not including design and all the other stuff. So big thing to note is, even though if you have a crazy markup, you may not have a lot of money coming in per hour. So you might want to keep track of these type of things to see if it's worthwhile. And for me, the markup goes into estimate the actual cost and how much you get and all the other stuff. Note that with since we're dealing with 3D printing and we can get some bad prints once in a while and stuff like that, you need to add that into the actual estimated cost. So you're not going to charge the consumer that's the bad print, but the thing is you can't really do anything with that bad print, and you know, it's either going to be trashed or you're just going to send it to them, whatever. And the thing is you got to add that to the estimated cost, so you're eating the cost, or at least you're keeping track of that. You're eating the cost. So as far as that goes, that's a big thing to note into itself. Now, if we go into stuff like the cost, I highly recommend that you have some type of wish list, and that will let you know what you're looking for, like what type of things that you might want to take a look at in the future whenever you get some money behind you. But you also need to keep in mind of things that before you start your hobby. So before I even started printing, I got all these type of things, and I can actually take a look and say, oh, that's how much I spent. And then after I got the printer, I can see, oh, this is what I got, and this is how much it costs. So I can see all that type of stuff really quick. And then on top of that, I highly recommend that when you're buying things online, is go and have it where it's linked. So as you may notice, all this is Amazon links or something else like that. So when you're buying something online, try to have a link. But when you're buying something from some local store, like where I bought some stuff from Lowe's, basically try to leave a note or something like that, and that way you get a good idea on where you got it. And that way, the purpose of this for keeping track of where you bought it, even at a local level, is if you ever got to take it back for whatever reason, you know where to take it back to. Otherwise, you know, like, say for example, if I got like the fire extinguisher, I don't know if I got it from Amazon or if I got it from some other site or if I got it from the the local stores. So it helps out with that. Plus, if I need to buy multiple of it, so if I need to go back and like I say for example right here where I bought some more nozzles, I actually had to go back in here and take a look at where I bought the previous ones. So it will cut down on the amount of time for me to do the research. So another thing is since we're dealing with 3D prints, we need to keep in mind the inventory. So we need to keep track of the actual filaments that we're dealing with, obviously the colors and the actual types. So PEGGs, PLAs, and stuff like that. And you need to keep in mind with the if you're going to actually buy it again or not, and mark why you're going to buy it or why you're not going to buy it, specifically if you're not going to buy it, and that way you don't make a mistake at getting whatever. So for example, like right here, the wood, I had such a pain with it that I'm just not going to buy it, and that way I don't run into, oh, I wonder if this is going to be worthwhile, and or I run into it again and says I don't really think it was as bad because of nostalgia, but I take a look at the notes and says yes, it really actually was that bad. So it helps out with stuff like that. But also again, if you try to keep track of where you bought it from, and that way, say for example like the PETGs, when I buy some more, I can take a look and say I want to get this particular one because I've had such a great success on it before. So note that. And also I would highly recommend that you keep track of things like how much did you spend on it, because the price may change over time and you might find that it might not be worthwhile. And also you need to keep track of things like when you actually use it, how much of it was there when you bought it, and how much of it is it there now. This is a major thing that you need to keep track of, especially when it comes to 3D printing, because the thing is if you're doing a print job and you don't have enough filament, then you will obviously run into some problems. So this will help you out with these type of things. Try to make sure that's accurate as possible. And the last little bit is just basically notes on the temperatures, the bed temp, speeds, stuff like that. And that way you can take a quick look at it and know what settings that you need to leave it at. So that's a major thing is keep an idea of all these type of things, and that way you can actually be successful as possible. Now, as far as this goes, I'll recommend having a item list, and what this is items that you are made to print off in the future or have print off in the past. And basically, this doesn't have to be 100% accurate, but the biggest thing you want to make accurate is the name and a file name, and that way you know what to look for, what to search for when you're trying to print whatever it may be. And also note things like the filament type and some of the other stuff. The estimated cost, time to make, and all the other stuff, I wouldn't really worry as much with that. The big thing that you need to worry more about is the filament type, the file name, and the actual item name, and also the item number, obviously. So going into the print jobs, so this is a major thing, is you need to know what printer you're using. So if you got multiple printers, then I highly recommend that you start using this. Even if you got a single printer, go in and label it all as one until you get a second one. And what that's going to do is you can see the type of work that you put on per printer, and that way you can see if something needs to be prepared or looked at or whatever due to machine hours. So on top of that, you need to keep in mind again the item name, and what I do is for the items, I go and right click, go to grab link to the cell, and then for here you just insert the link to the thing, and that way you can click on it and see exactly what that thing is. So if I go down, I see I had a huge problem with 39. What is 39? And then I can see, it's the hand I was trying to make. So I can see here and see all that. Now notice that you need to keep track of why things failed, because you're able to take a look at it and see if you can improve upon it and make sure that it doesn't happen in the future. And also you need to keep track of things. This is where you need to keep things a little bit more accurate than the item list. You obviously need the filaments, the exact filament that you're using. And so like with this, it's the same thing as before. So if I want to see, I use that particular filament and whatever. But the estimated cost, make sure that is accurate, because you're going to be using that on the cells. And as far as the time to try to make that as accurate as possible. I try to do it by hours. So like where it's like 3 is 3 hours, 0.25 is 15 minutes, stuff like that. And as far as the weights, the stuff, basically try to make that as accurate as possible, and that way you can reflect it in the filaments. So basically you can say, do you have enough or not enough, or what it may be. And then as far as the temperatures, you need to keep this as accurate as possible, because of if you got a failure, you can take a look at it and see if bumping up the temperature or bumping it down might help. And same thing with speeds and fills and all the other stuff. You can have a few extra things like flow and whatever, and that'll help you out. So as far as that goes, that's a major thing to note into itself. Now, a big thing I will recommend that you do is keep track of things just as if you were on a car. So like you would have a log on your car, you need to keep track of things as much as possible. Obviously note what printer you're dealing with, but are you dealing with maintenance? Or like say for example right here where it's not maintenance, it's and I'm just basically doing a note. So I can take a look at it and see, okay, this problem's kicked back up again. So I can look at the problems and see if it matches anything I have, and I can see, this is notes, this is what happens, this is how long it took to figure out all the stuff, how much film I had to use, hours, and all that stuff. But the big thing is I could take a look at the notes and to see my thought process as I went through, and to see if I can improve it in the future if the problems happen again. It's very, very important to note this, especially when you get into machines, whether it's 3D printers or B equipment or whatever it may be, because you're able to take a look at it and see where your mind was, and also see what you tried to fix with, and that way you don't redo things that obviously won't work. So that's a big thing to note. Also, obviously keep track of if something is fixed. So basically, if I have this problem again, I can go down, and if there was a fix, I can see the last thing and say, oh, this is how I need to do to fix it. So something like this, like right here, I can say build plate's having a hard time moving, and I can see, oh, it was fixed, so I can take a look at it and said, oh, it was a screw that was loose on the Y pulley, so I can check that and see if that's a problem again, and if it is, then I can just fix it right then and there without spending weeks or months trying to figure it out. Lastly, we have the machines, the printers themselves. And this is a big thing to note, is when you're dealing with the machines, you need to keep track of certain things, like how much it cost you. Add things like, say for example, with this, I had to get the replacement hot end, and also I had to get a nozzle that I ate. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add that into the overall cost for that, because I can't use it on other machines. So things like socks and stuff like that, I would actually add that into here. And like, so for example, like right here somewhere, I have, so a sock. So I only used 2 of them, and what I would need to do is take a look at, sorry about that. Take a look at this. Let's go plus this divide by 3 times 2. So basically, since there's 3 of them in a pack, we're dividing by 3, and since I used 2 on it, we're timesing that by 2, and then we can add that to the overall cost, and that way we can see the reflection onto that, because I can't use the like for example right there, the 2 socks. Basically, I can't use them on other machines because they're 8s. So I have to add that into the overall cost to see how much ROI I got, and then the percentage wise and all the other stuff. Now, because the printer 2 is going to be a replacement of printer 1, it's not a refund, or it's not like a totally separate printer into itself. What I'm going to do is, once printer 1, the whatever cost I add into it is going to be paid off, I'm going to go in and try to add whatever. So say for example, if I only spent say $1 into printer 2 and I got $10, well, $9 is going to go into printer 1, so I can add it down, and basically I'll just go into here and subtract by like 9 and go from there, or sorry about that, in this case add it, since it's all negatives, and go from there, and that way what would end up happening is I can see how close I am to the thing being paid off, because again, since printer 2 is a replacement of printer 1, I can do that. So if it was a full refund, then I'll just subtract the cost of this from the refund. And if it's like a separate printer altogether, and I still got printer 1, whether it's functional or not, well, the thing is I wouldn't really have printer 2 or whatever else reflect the overall cost for the printer 1. I wouldn't have the it say pay off for the others, because the fact of the matter is I still got that 1 printer. That's a big thing to note into itself. Now it's up to you how you want to play with that. So I mean, if you want to have it where future printers can pay for past printers and stuff like that, then that's fine. But for myself, I try to make it where, oh, this was a bad investment or this is a good investment, because it gets very, very difficult. Like, you can actually easily say that, oh, this one, it paid for itself, and then it paid for itself even more so that it will pay for this one. And you might be able to add a date it paid for itself for the printer 1, which is bad. Well, the thing is, I would recommend leaving the ROI part of it alone and that way you know that this was a bad investment, or if it was a good investment, if the ROI was positive, you can see it was a good investment and how much of a good investment it is. So that's a big thing to note. Now you also need to keep in mind the machine hours, because wear and tear and stuff like that, and the filament ran, again, wear and tear. I highly recommend that you have notes, and what I would do for myself is for here on out, so like start your notes right here in this entire row, just have it for this one printer. Same thing with this one, is start your notes here and then go right on that, and that way you can actually keep track of certain things. So for example, if this particular printer, I am running particular problems, like for example, if I run into problems where it cannot print vases that well but can print other things pretty well, well, I might want to keep notes of that so I know not to use this particular printer for these particular jobs. So it helps out with things like that. But anyways, as far as this goes, hopefully this has helped you out in understanding this, and it will hopefully help you out in making things as profitable as possible. And if it does, then leave a like, subscribe, share, and whatnot, and feel free to ask questions, and I'll see you next video. Hope you have a great day.